Oh, wow.
Saw it twice, so I was like, oh my god.
That was just weird.
I always used to see a light coming up,
Yeah.
like a headlight, but there was nobody there.
Oh, it's just disappeared.
Hello everybody, welcome to Truth Proof. Hope you've all had a good weekend. I have. Well, it's not been too bad anyway. And, well, we're nearly over, aren't we? But great to see you lot here. We've got well over 100 people in chat already, so thanks for support, guys, as always. We've got a really, really interesting man coming on, hopefully shortly, who's going to be sharing a really unusual account. I mean, I'm still waiting for him to arrive, but it won't be long. And if you've heard me talk about the cryptids and all these strange things that are seen and experienced, and this man's seen something really strange and unusual. And I assure you, when he comes on and starts talking about it, hopefully 5 minutes, you're going to be blown away. But let's just have a look who's in chat. I saw Linny in earlier, Mrs. Linny, Pete saying good to see you, Pete. Martin, Fran, Susan Wiseman, Mia Girl, Dogman TP Hunting, Thudda, John Alexander, Stargaze Returnal, Lisa, Tino, Dragonborn, always good to see you, Dragonborn, Jojo, Margaret Hughes, and you know, I'm not going to be saying Jamie Deaton. Let's have a look just quickly. Tom Waters, good to see you, Tom. Studio 211. And we may have a few internet problems, and I know this, so I might end up doing a story for you guys. But hopefully, Michael's going to be coming in shortly. So yeah, let's bring Michael in. And if his internet goes off, just bear with it, because we know there's a bad signal here. And all being well, he'll be back within 30 seconds or so, because this is going to be well worth listening to. So here we go. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hello, fella. You all right? How you doing?
I'm really good and great. I really appreciate you offering to come on and share this incredible account. And I can't tell you how pleased I am, because it validates what we're talking about when we're on them cliff tops, when Linny's there, when Pete's there, you know, Bob Brown, all the things that people have seen and experienced. And I know you've seen it, and we don't know what it was. But I know you've seen something highly, highly unusual, and it's as strange as it gets. And I think prior to this, am I right, Michael? You'd probably not got a lot of interest in the subject of cryptids or strange creatures, had you? And no, well, that didn't last long. Oh, there you are. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate.
Yeah, so, okay, then just walk us into it the first time that something strange happened, because there's 2 occasions at Danes Dyke, isn't there?
Yeah, I'll just keep talking, mate, because you're breaking up slightly.
Okay.
So do you want me first?
Yeah, the first sighting, yeah. I think we're going to struggle here, but go on.
So it was just, I was actually at York. East out of York. I was actually meeting one of my suppliers, and never give it a thought about Bridlington. Now, I was just coming out of this garden centre, and I just saw the sign for Bridlington, and for me better half, who was going to work, and I just said, do you mind if I have a couple of hours down here just to have a ride around? And she says, yeah, fine, go for it. So headed over to Bridlington, had a ride around Danes Dyke in the car, but it was busy, so I came away and just drove around, had a look at Bempton, because obviously I'd heard about everything on your that program you did with Chris Turner, was it?
The Elusive.
That's the one, yeah. So just had a ride round, and the day went on, and I headed back to Danes Dyke, and the car park was kind of empty. And it was, I forget what month, it must have been around about February time, starting to get a bit dark. And I thought, I'll just sit here for a couple of hours. And lights went out and everything, and it went dark, and I just sat and always carried a duvet around in the back of the Range Rover just in case for nights out, and just covered myself up with that and just kind of sat there, and it was pretty black, but you wouldn't think anything, and I must have drifted off, and as I say, no wind or anything, just a quiet night, and it must have been, I think it was about 2:30, 2:35 in the morning. The Range Rover just started shaking sideways, and there was a bang, and pitch black, and I just heard these two heavy feet going away, and what the hell was that? Got myself kind of pulled round, and it had set the motion detector, because I had the Range Rover up, to set the motion detector off, and kind of got myself a bit panicky, and I just thought, I've had enough of this. I drove away, and I went to the town centre and like sat where there was lights and things like that, and gathered my thoughts, and wasn't
Michael,
it was light.
Am I right, Michael, that you actually drove away and you couldn't get away quick enough with the duvet around your feet?
That's it. I had the duvet wrapped around my feet, and this is about 3 o'clock in the morning. It came out of because obviously Danes Dyke's one way. Came out of the exit bit, turned left. So this would be about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I actually, like the pedals on a Range Rover are funny. It hinges like a truck on the bottom, and I actually got the duvet stuck.
One sec,
my camera's gone off there. I don't know if you can still hear us.
Yeah, we can still hear you. We still hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear
Carry
me?
on, Mike. Yeah, we can hear you. Go on.
Hello.
Hello.
Have you got me?
Got you. Yeah. Well, you might not got me. Hello. Just bear with it, people. Hello. Well, we might lose Michael for a moment. Are you there?
You got me, Paul?
I have, yeah. All good, mate. Try again. Yes. Okay.
Have you got me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Oh, well, I could. So, people, I hope you're all waiting to hear this. We might get to hear it. We might not. We shall see. But basically, Danes Dyke, 3 a.m. in the morning, and he's decided to get bedded down in Range Rover. And I'm hoping he's going to finish it off, because this is only the start of it. Let's have a look. I'll just pull the man in. Let's get rid of that one and add that one. Hello, what shall we try again?
I'm back there now, mate.
Right.
Just think, do you want me to try on my phone, see if it's a better signal? If you give us 5 minutes.
We better stay with this, and if it fails, we're all right. We can cope with it. People will manage. Internet signals, it's not your fault. Let's just roll with it. So the duvet. Let's just roll.
Sorry about this, mate.
Don't be sorry. It's not a problem, Michael, honestly. Are you there? I think
there?
Yes, I can hear you. No worries. You see, we can't test it on Michael's phone.
Hello?
Because hello.
Hey up, mate.
Hello. Have you got it now?
Well, I'm just sitting here. There's plenty of bars on the phone. I just can't understand it. But I'm trying to switch my phone on, see if it's going to get a better signal. And
well, you haven't got the link to your phone, so let's just roll with this. And it's just one of them things. So we'll just. Okay. It's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I actually got the duvet trapped under the accelerator pedal, and the car wouldn't move. It slowed down, and just at that second, a car come flying up behind us at that time in the morning, overtook us, tooting the horn and things like that. And I just thought, what's the odds of that happening? So anyway, got that sorted. Actually went to the co-op in Bridlington because there was lights there all night. I thought, I'll just sit here for a few hours and gather my thoughts. And that's when I noticed. I looked round and my passenger side wing mirror was knocked right round facing us. And I thought, oh, bloody hell. And I just sat there. Next morning when it was light, I got out. The whole wing mirror cover was taken off, gone. And I thought, oh, because I'd only had the vehicle a few months. I thought, bloody hell, here we go. So I drove back to Danes Dyke. And here it was, about 15 foot down the grass towards the picnic benches. So whatever clattered it, it just sprung it off and it had flown down the grass. So, and as you know, Danes Dyke's pleasant through the day. So I just had a bit walk round and back to normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and obviously we'll never know, and I can't imagine what person would be around at 3 a.m. Well, you were in the Dyke, but you were sort of all up sleeping. But it took a bit of knocking off, wouldn't it? The wing mirror.
Well, it's Range Rover, so they can fly to bits, no problem at all. They're not the strongest of vehicles, but it would still take a bit of knocking off. But I thought maybe it's deer. I mean, I don't know much about deer, but I thought, well, maybe deer. And when I got back to work, there's a guy on my industrial estate who was a butcher and gamekeeper, blah, blah. And I was telling him, he said, nah, a deer would never do that. Like, he says, I've hunted deer and watched deer. He says, they would never go near something and shake it like that. He says, it's not a deer.
Strange, isn't it? Strange. And you're not alone with that, Michael. And with strange things happening in the Dyke. So then you revisited in 2023, and I'll put this picture up because you've saved the parking ticket. I know it's not the smoking gun of cryptids, people, but just that's the date. You can see the time that Michael revisited the Dyke, 2023, and expired at 1:05. So you're not there in early hours at morning, or out, are you?
No, I think it was around about 11 o'clock in the morning when we got there, Paul. It was me and Claire, and we were stopping in, I think it was somewhere in Bridlington, somewhere nearby. We were stopping for a few nights. And it's near my birthday, so it must have been for my birthday. And as I say, we just drove down there with the idea of, and like Claire's not really a believer, she's not really into any of this. So, but we both like wildlife, so been quite a few times just to park up, we walk along and spot the squirrels and things like that. You know what I mean? And just it's just somewhere different to go and have a nice walk round. And that's how it started. You know what I mean?
You didn't expect to see out though, I don't think, when you went in there that day, did you?
No, well, I mean, obviously I followed your program and that, and you believe people, so there's definitely something there in there. And without going into different subjects like the UFOs and that, I think there's been things coming from different universes for thousands of years. We're not alone, and so things like cryptids and that, there's too many people seeing things for not to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, a few months ago, me and you met up a few months ago, and we almost measured. You there? You hear me? Not looking like...
You're just freezing again there, Paul.
Sorry, mate. I don't know if I'm freezing for other people.
I can kind of hear you, but yeah, it's stuttering a bit. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't want to leave you on your own, but I might have just nipped in and asked my wife to turn her laptop off. Does people tell me in chat, is it my internet or Michael's? But providing you can hear, we can hear each other, can we?
You're back there now, mate.
Yeah, we're good. So go on then, walk us into it. So you've parked up in Danes Dyke. You've got to be back for 1:05. You arrived at 11. You've put a couple of hours parking in. And what happened?
And yeah, funny enough, I always pick the same spot. So I was in exactly the same spot where I was sleeping that night in the very end corner out the way of other cars and that, and parked up there. And we probably had 10 minutes to sit in the Range Rover and chat and that. Then we just got out and put our coats on because it was like, it was getting kind of cooler. So we just set off walking towards that ticket machine where we've been, and along that little lane before you go up the right to like go out. And if it hadn't been for the old car coming, I probably wouldn't have seen any of this.
Yeah. So tell people why you noticed the car, because your job involves motor vehicles, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's more the old. I do historic rally cars and that, but I'm a Ford fan, and it was just an ordinary 1995 candy blue Ford Fiesta. And I'm a time served painter. That's why I first served my time as. And they were notorious for rusting it that year. And that colour shows up rust really badly. But this was absolutely mint. Not a mark on it. It was absolutely mint. And it's a bit sad. I mean, Claire's always saying, oh, well, you should have about cars, and cars drive past and you hear noise and you think, oh, that's got that problem, that's got that. And just stuff like that. Probably like you with the carpentry, you never really switch off. And so it was just that. And we're walking towards it. But normally, if that wasn't there, we'd be looking around in the trees for squirrels and things like that. And like, as you know, Claire's got a bit of a bad back, so she tends to walk kind of looking down a little bit to ease her back. So she wouldn't have noticed it. But as I say, this day, this car pulled up and two elderly ladies in. And I was just looking at that. And do you want us to keep going on? And
I do, Michael, because obviously you're key. You're carrying this story. And I know that you're not exactly comfortable sort of sharing this, but So that's why I appreciate you doing it. So anybody that's not familiar with Danes Dyke, the speed humps out of the main car park, and there's a ticket machine just before you get to the wooded area. I'll paint a picture for people. Michael was approximately 100 feet away. Don't think I'm stopping me. Don't jump on me when you're getting questions later. But I'm just painting the picture because I know area, and we measured it, myself and Michael, about 3 weeks ago, didn't we? And we took a surveyor's tape. And something gone again. No worries. And something caught. Can you hear me, Michael? We'll wait a moment. Can you hear me okay?
Are you there?
Yeah. Hear me?
Yeah, it just seems to drop in and out.
Yeah, it's just one of them things. We can't doubt about it, mate. Something caught your eye on right-hand side, didn't it?
So, yeah, just halfway along that thing where we measured when we went back that time, it was just before a speed bump. I just glanced something out the corner of my right eye as I was talking to Claire. And it was like, you've got the drones. It was just a really tall guy, really thick set, with a long black coat on. At the start, when he was coming to the trees, it was kind of like a barber wax coat, a long one, like greeny, dark greeny, browny, and that coloured hat. And it was all like, it seemed to be blending in with the trees and things like that. And I just, out the corner of my eye, I thought, Christ, he's a big bloke. I wouldn't like to mess with him, you know what I mean? And at that very moment, Claire kind of, because the speed bump was covered in leaves on the left-hand side. She was on the left of me next to the grass. And she kind of like dragged her foot on the thing. We had a laugh about it. So I looked down. And then by the time I looked back, it was middle of the road, completely black. And it looked like the Undertaker of the wrestling, but twice the size. The coat, the hat, everything, and just completely black. And I'm looking, Claire was still looking down and like getting her feet ready, sorted. But as you know yourself, your brain doesn't want to know. Your brain's not having it.
Yeah.
And like you're thinking, what's this? And then as it approached the back of the car, it just seemed to stoop. And that's when it was behind the car, and we've measured the height of a Fiesta since then. The Fiesta's 48 inches. This was twice the height of the Fiesta. So you're talking, what is that, nearly 9 foot?
Well, yeah, you're looking at 8 foot, aren't you? And, well, we were. Hopefully Michael will be back. I'll show you the picture. And it's a crazy thing that Michael says he's seen. Let's just find him. Hello, you there, mate?
I'm back, lad.
You're back in the room, yeah.
This is a right pain in the arse, isn't it?
Listen, we just got to live with it. We can't doubt about it. You're not responsible for internet. So you passed the back of the car, or it got level with back at car, and then you realise how big it is, yeah? Oh, there you go. Hello. Are you there?
I'm here, mate.
Yeah, tell us about when it passed the back of the car then.
Have you got me?
I have, yeah. I don't think Michael can hear me.
You're breaking up a bit.
Yeah. You hear me now?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. No, look, any good?
Have you got me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Hello?
Well,
Paul?
turn your camera off, Michael. See whether that helps. He obviously can't hear me, people, can he?
Yeah, camera's off.
No, well, there must be a bit of a delay. Go on then, Michael. No, we're not going to do this, are we? I might have to just have to tell you this short account that I'm going to do like I did other night with Tom, because this is a terrible internet signal. But I were hoping Michael could have got this this story out for us. Any good?
Yeah. I'll try and keep the camera switched off.
Yeah, do that. Do that. Go on then.
Right. So it's approached the back of the car. By this time, sorry, I'm skipping back and forward. One of the ladies was out the car and round to the ticket machine, and she wasn't aware of it. So I mean, what actually was it? You know what I mean? So as it got to the back of the car, it just seemed to, I don't know, your eyes can't have it. It just stooped and changed. And like, obviously the head and the muzzle came out, but it was the shoulders from the head and the back, just the absolute size of it was just like, it took your breath away for that 2 or 3 split seconds.
Yeah, well, I've put the drawing up, Michael. I don't know if
Aye.
you can see that.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
There's a little bit of license with the code there, because when it was in that form, it was behind the car. So the whole bottom half, I never really saw it. I saw arms. There was a gap between the car and the brick wall that we've looked at. There was a gap of about 8 foot. So I saw long arms hanging down, but it was just gone past there, and it just seemed to stoop, and it was into like stealth mode, as though it was going to be way after something, Paul.
Yeah. And what were your thoughts at that time? Because I know that you did the drawings pretty soon afterwards, you know, within days, and you've done a really detailed write-up. But when we spoke, I don't know, it's probably well over 6 months ago. Well, we spoke a few years ago, didn't we? But when we spoke 6 months ago, because it weren't until you looked at the drawings that you realised you had observed arms. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, because the actual day we were there, after I saw that, I said to Claire, I says, Christ, did you see that? She says, no, I never saw a thing. And you're trying to tell yourself, that cannot be real. And we went our usual walk right the way along to the entrance and back again. It was in my mind the whole time and that. And we went back to the hotel, and there was paper and pens there. So I just thought, I'll get some of this down now. Because you know what it's like, life goes on when you get back home after a holiday, busy work, things just tend to go in your mind. So I thought I'll get something down now, and I never looked. You put stuff away, and this is the funny thing, because even something like that, life just goes on, and you've got to get back into your normal routine, and you know things go at the back of your mind. And when I spoke to you before I showed you the drones, I'd never looked at them for ages. And you said about arms. I says, oh, I don't think I saw arms. But obviously, when I got back from speaking to you, but that day we met by chance. When I got back from there, I got the drones out. I thought, oh God, there is arms there. So I think I phoned you and said, I was wrong, mate. There is arms and that. You know what I mean?
It's strange, is that? And just as a little side note, because we'll talk about the ladies and their dog in a moment. But you'd contacted me ages, quite a while before that. But I was actually walking in Danes Dyke. What do you think? 2 months ago. And I'd met a lady who'd seen something very, very unusual with a friend when they were in Danes Dyke, and she'd met up with me to tell me what she'd seen. You pulled up in the van because you were just having a little rundown, weren't you?
Yeah, and it was. I think previous to that, I think when we got back from that happening, I'd sent you a long message on Messenger service. But we never actually spoke, I don't think. And obviously, you're so busy with all these things. I just let it go. I thought, oh, he's busy. You know what I mean? It's not really a massive thing, so I'll just let it go. And if you want to get in touch, you will. And life goes on. And I've been up since that happened. Probably been there about 10 times before I met you. And we're just driving in that day. And as I say, lady on the left, did she have a dog or was she on her own?
No, it was me with my little dog.
She went to the left-hand side. And like I acknowledged her moving out the way, so I give her a wave. And if I hadn't looked to the right, I wouldn't even known it was you. I would have just driven straight past. And I just looked, and you kind of looked around. I thought, Jesus, it's him. So I wound the window down and says, hello, mate. And that was just chance, wasn't it?
It were absolute chance. When you talk about coincidence and things happening, it were quirky, that really. But what you saw, Michael, and then what we've got to understand, or what people need to know, is that you saw that on October the 19th, 2023.
Yeah.
The guy walking in the dike who left the dike, and he stood at the bus stop. That was October the 20th, 2020. Yeah. I've got another one from, I think it's 21st in an October. The guy on the invalid scooter, that were in, summertime. He'd gone in the early hours to take some images at sunset, Ian. But none of you people know each other. And they're all within where you saw that is 500 yards from entrance. The other three are around the entrance.
Yeah.
There's other stories of there's the lady who was close to the entrance with her brother, and her brother's watching her son as they're just playing in a bit of woodland, and something growled on her shoulder, literally into her ear. And, that absolutely frightened her to death. That were a daytime sighting. So I don't know what's happening here. And you're not the first person that's told me about some kind of transformation. Are we looking at an illusion? What do you think you're looking at there, Michael?
Well, the feeling I got, it wasn't frightening because we've been there and looked at all the angles, and it was slightly going away as it was walking from right to left. Didn't even acknowledge us, didn't care by the look of it. But to me, the way it looked, it had done it before. It was like, was it a thing from another realm? Just a realm that plays out and just does it time and time again. And what other, you know what I mean? And this is the frustrating thing, like we've talked about so much, the jobs I've had and the technicalities. You've got to know the insides out of everything. You've got to know every detail. But we're never going to know anything about this.
I don't think we are. And the way you described it when you first saw it, you said it although it had this long coat, like wax type long coat on, it almost looked like it were blending into trees.
Well,
is that
like, not that you want to use films, and I'm not a fan of films, but like that Predator movie, the first one, the way that blended in as it was moving, and it was kind of like that, but more of a figure. You could see the outline of the coat and that. And I just kind of glanced, and it was in my right corner, in my right eye, and it was like, and it was more, you could obviously see a figure, because I said, Jesus, look at the size of him. I wouldn't like to mess with him. And she tripped, and I looked away and looked back within 3 or 4 seconds. It was further across the road, but it was jet black. Absolutely jet black.
And are you quite sort of sure in your mind that this thing's muzzle came out? That it looked like a muzzle then?
And I was fixated on the hat. It was like a big brimmed hat, as I say, just like the Undertaker. And can't remember, the coat was long. I can't remember seeing legs. And it was smooth. It was walking smoothly, if it was walking. And it was just smooth the way it went past. As I say, it got towards this car. Then it was like stooping. And that appeared, and like the hat seemed to disappear. But the thing that got me was the size of the shoulders, the neck and the back was just completely wrong. It was just wrong.
And did you get a sense that it had dropped onto all fours then, Michael, after that?
Well, the way it was stooping, I would say, whatever they are and they go into that form, whether they run on 2 legs and stoop, or whether it was going to be onto 4 legs and away down that lane there. I mean, do they run faster? But I mean, you hear the stories of them running along beside cars, don't you, at 50 mile an hour? And is it faster on 4 legs? And like where it was heavy, me and Claire's walked several times, and we've always seen deer down there at certain times of the day. So was it after something? Was it? It was just
strange, isn't it? I mean, this is there's a picture here of this is what I'll just describe what we're looking at, Michael. I think you can see the picture anyway. The light at the end of that little passageway along that wall is at the top of that would be the ticket machine and where the lady had parked her car. And whatever Michael saw would have come down here. That's right, Michael, isn't it?
Yeah, spot on, mate.
And obviously, when you'd seen it, then did you go to this end and look to the top and look down?
Well, the funny thing is, like I've told you, I'm not easy talking about things like this, but I will. And Claire just doesn't want to make a fool of myself. So we walked towards the car. She was back in the car by the time we got there, and into that car park where I've met you, the grass one. And I'd never been in that car park there before. So that blue Fiesta went in there and parked near the gate. The woman was out the passenger side, and they had a massive husky type dog in the back seat. And honestly, that wasn't coming out. Like it was just wasn't coming out. The lead was at full stretch and just wasn't having it. And I said to Claire, do you think I should go and say something? Before I got the words out, she says, don't even think about it. Because obviously, people would think you're bloody mad, won't they?
Yeah. He's strange. And in a way, you can understand people, Michael. I'm saying myself, when I talk to people about the things that I saw in childhood, if somebody says to me, I don't believe it, I can't believe this till I see it myself. I can't argue with them, can I? Because it's an hard thing to get their heads around. But I will tell you now that there's somebody keeps contacting me in Bridlington, and I know who this person is, obviously, and I've met them once, and they know there's something in that area, and they'll probably contact me after seeing this. They're fully aware of it, and they've got some. I don't mind saying it, even though they're going to listen to it, because this man also knows I know he's got knowledge of whatever it is, and I've no idea what it is. I haven't got that prior knowledge, but we'll just. It's not so much a question, but Lisa's just said that figure looks familiar, Paul, to what I'm seeing. So Lisa's obviously saying she's seen something similar. And let's have a look. Martin Abbas says 8 foot seems to be a common height to many cryptids seen. Could be the same one or many of the same species. I suppose that implies, Martin, that you maybe think that there's a breeding population of these things, not necessarily in our sphere of existence. I don't know. What do people here? Questions in chat, please. Just put them in capitals. What do you guys think that Michael's seen? Have we got any thoughts on what it could be? I'm just scrolling down to see if there's any more questions. Let's have a look. If they're not in capitals, they won't get asked. And I got accused of missing questions out other day. I didn't do it on purpose. I just have to. I'm on my own doing this, so I've just got to go down as I see fit. Are you still there? All right, let's have a look. Here we go. And this is from my daughter, Gemma. Right, the growling I heard in your house and nobody else heard it. It was as loud as thunder and I could feel it vibrating in my chest. It was terrifying. And are you still there, Michael, aren't you?
I'm here, mate.
Well, I'll briefly touch on this. Myself, Gemma and Bob Brown had been up onto the cliffs. Some people will have heard this story, and if you have, then tough, because you're going to hear it again. Gemma and Bob had seen a square of white light on that hill, on the hill, not on the top, just on the hill. Bob told her it was a piece of A4 sized piece of board on a post for some reason. That's what he thought, and then he realised there was no post there. And as they're watching it, it dropped to the floor. Now, I think what we're talking about here is some kind of hitchhiker effect where this phenomena, for want of a better word, follows you home, because that's what they'd seen that night. We came home. Gemma's at our house for a few weeks. Me and Mary went to bed. She stayed up watching TV. She's in a little room. You've got glass doors to the left. You've got an open door and a hallway to the right, going down to passage with 2 bedrooms. And she was watching Prison Break. Sylvester Stallone. I'll tell you what you were watching. At the back of her, there's a brick wall. At the back of that, there's a passage that's all connected to our property. So there's nobody in passage. That's what I'm saying. There's a flat above. There's nobody in it. We're empty. Wendy had left. So that's ruled that out. I've not said she'd left to make this story any better. She weren't in it. And the next morning, when we get up, Gemma said she nearly came and woke us up. I wish I'd have given you a link, Gemma. You could have told us this. I nearly came and woke you up last night. And she said, I asked her why. She said she's watching TV, sat there watching the film, and then she became aware of a sound that she thought was thunder. Turned the TV down, I think, Gemma. You correct me if I'm wrong. And she said at the back of her, right at the back of her head, not in the hallway, not above, something started to growl. And she's wrote it there. You can see what she's saying. As loud as thunder, I could feel it vibrating in my chest. Absolutely terrified her. Now, that's similar, Michael, to what the lady in Danes Dyke said happened to her. So what is it? Do you know what I mean? Is it the same thing that you've seen that's creating these effects on people? I don't know what you think. What do people in chat think as well?
Well, it's the size of it. Like people say, like when they hear this growling, it rattles the bones. And I think you said in one of your documentaries, they must have some lung power on them.
It's got to be immense. It's got to be a colossal lung power. You know, in Broxer Forest, Michael, where I know when you come down to Danes Dyke, you're going to come for a few days later in year, and hopefully we're going to go there. And those guys who stayed in there, they thought that what they saw watching them in the night, and they stopped. They couldn't get away. They were trapped down there that were watching them for hours. They thought it were growling at them, and it was breathing. It was its breathing.
If I can just go, I've been lucky because my experience was a fleeting one, so it wasn't really frightening. It was more like, whoa, that what they've had, that's a proper experience in it. That's the real deal.
It's terrifying. But what you've seen, I've got one report of somebody seeing some kind of transformation. But I think we all know, don't we? I think we all know in our heart of hearts that bones can't elongate, fingers can't elongate, nails don't grow. It's not like in a movie. That doesn't detract from what you're saying you've seen, but there's something else at play. It's almost like an illusion. There'll be somebody that out there better able to describe it better than me, but I think the mechanics of extending bones and cheekbones and everything else, it's just not happening in my world.
But if you go back, Paul, through history, and I mean, you put me onto that book by that Harwood, what was he called?
Montague Summers.
That's the one, sorry. Yeah. These things have got to start somewhere. And look at all them reports from hundreds of years ago. And you get these films with like werewolves changing. And I'm not saying it's real, but it's got to come from somewhere. You know what I mean?
That's true. With everything that we talk about, they say there's a grain of truth in these things. Al Durham's put a question up here, and any foot or paw prints spotted, and it were on hard ground, Al. It's crossed a tarmac road, but I don't think you did see anything like that, did you?
No, because every time we go out and we walk Danes Dyke and that, and Claire will tell you when you see her, I'm like a bloody Indian tracking. I'm always looking at the ground for feet prints and stuff like that. So no, there was nothing like that.
No. And thank you, Lee and Alison and Gemma, for doing moderating. I'm just looking if there's any more questions here. Let's have a look. Do you think Martin, the subject, noticed you as a person? Hold on. Do you think Martin, the subject, noticed you as... Do you mean Michael? Do you think, Michael, the subject noticed you as a person? Did it notice you, Michael?
It never looked... It wasn't interested, mate. It was just... It had its eye on bigger fish to fry or something like that. It was a cross with purpose, in a way.
Well, we're going to go in there, aren't we? When you come up, and I think Linny's coming, and hopefully Pete will come. But I suppose there's the saying, isn't there? Be careful what you wish for. What are you thinking? Are you just wanting to gather the experience, and when you go back in? I think that's what we all do, don't we? Because we don't necessarily want to come face to face with anything like that. Do you think?
Well, to be honest, mate, it's half of it for the social thing, because we got on well, and I think we're cut from the same cloth with the same type of people, and it's all an interest in it. And met you and your mates up on the cliffs and that, and that's half of it. But half of it is, it would be nice to see something again with a bigger group of people. You know what I mean? And as I say, Claire didn't see it, and she doesn't think I'm lying, and you know me long enough now.
You don't strike me as somebody who's going to lie about something like that. No, I really don't think that. And staying with your sighting, but just moving away to something else connected to it, I interviewed the security guard at Danes Dyke golf course.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and I've known this story, and I've known about what he experienced probably since 2010, and what happened when we were in 2007, and I went and picked him up because he doesn't work there now, and we drove to Danes Dyke, and we went to the location, and it was interesting because he said, I've got goosebumps just talking about it while I'm stood here. And he'd got 2 Staffordshire Bull Terriers with him when it happened, and he didn't see whatever it was. But just as Gemma's just talked about that sound reverberating in her chest, Dean, who might come in here, because I saw him in other week, Dean said, this one, I've not heard it described like that. He says, when it made the howl, when it started to roar, it sounded like a sonic boom going off in his chest. His exact words. He said, wow. the feeling and vibration and energy that it transmitted into him, he said it was just awful. So I don't think that there's going to be lots and lots of these things seen and presented in these areas. I really don't. Well, I think we could be dealing with the same thing. And I realise that's only my opinion. But you might go for the rest of your life, Michael, and never see anything like that again.
Well, this is it. We were just talking, and I was telling Claire about going to Broxah sometime, and she was saying, "Girl, are you not scared?" And I'm thinking, right, them lads were there, and you've been there with them since then, and never saw anything. What's the chances of seeing something twice? I mean, what's the chances of seeing something once? You could go a lifetime and not see anything, and just that happens by chance. It's probably never going to happen twice.
I wouldn't. I think you're right. But interestingly, do you think then, after sort of sitting on the story and what happened, do you think the incident with the Range Rover and the mirror getting broken off is connected to what you saw walking across the road?
Well, because nobody can say for definite, but whatever did that was big, because the Range Rover's like 3.5 ton or whatever. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
you saw the Range Rover, it's a sport one, so it's hard suspension and squat. Something to rocket like that's got to be some size with some serious muscle power. Yeah. As I'm going back to, I probably moan on too much, and I've got your head done in. It wasn't so much the muzzle and it was the size of the shoulders and the hump on the back, and like I was watching Wolflands the other day. Sorry, I'm skipping about here.
It's all right.
That woman that saw something on the roundabout at Harper's Chip Shop.
Yeah.
She said she saw it from the front. It looked as though its head was down and the back end was up. And I was just thinking, if that's the same thing, it wouldn't matter if it was like bending down. Just the hump on the back it's just unreal. It was probably like sitting straight, but the shoulders are that massive and huge. It's just unbelievable. And like, you just know there's that much power there. It could do what it wanted. And like your mate Jeff up in the gamekeeper.
Yeah.
He described it perfectly. He says it could have come through the wall if it wanted. And like people would probably think, oh, what a load of rubbish. But I'm telling you, if that's the size of what that is, it would stop a tank. Absolutely.
It's incredible, isn't it? It absolutely is. And the guys on the cliff tops, the military guys, when they walked through that, well, they call it a gate and 2 gate posts. I think it was a style years ago, and put the torch on. They said this thing were hunkered down. And a big hump on its back and all the fur bristling. Because you talked about being able to see spikes of fur, didn't you? Yeah,
it just seemed to be like shimmery, kind of long, not too long, but like it looked quite well kempt, and like like a kind of a buffalo or a bison has that on its shoulders.
Yeah,
it was like that, and but it was just maybe it wants to show you how powerful it is. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a thing where. It wants to stay.
Strange, isn't it? And the connecting factor here is Danes Dyke. If you think about it, where you saw it, obviously you were literally 30 yards away from part of the dike, and if you followed that all the way through, to the other end, to the north side, which would be, I think it's 2.5 miles.
Yeah,
but it's all sort of, it's not very thick woodland, but it's all woodland and shrubbery. When you get to that end, that's where those military guys saw it on February, I think it was 7th or 8th, 2019, 2018. But, I think we've got to be dealing with the same thing. And what I like about this, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this, is that you've just put more meat on the bone of what we're talking about, because it's not just Paul talking. And because let's face it, I could just write one of these up and said, this bloke's contacted me. Do you know what I'm saying, Michael? It's brilliant when people actually come forward and are willing to share these accounts. And you're not putting any stamp on it saying what it is, or you're just sharing what you've seen. There's a question here. Let's just put this on, Michael. I don't know if you can see these. Do you think these sightings can be brought forward by what is called tulpas? Buddhists believe we can bring them through thought. So he's saying, are we creating these? Are they thought forms, Michael?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? But I mean, before I saw this, I must have been down Danes Dyke, not looking for things like this. I must have been there 20 times. And like through getting into it through you and Chris Turner and just watching things. When you're there, it's always slightly in the back of your mind. Oh, I wonder what's walked along this road. I wonder what's been here. And I'd never seen anything before. So why pick that time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, and what's interesting is, with what they talk about the thought forms. I've often people will have heard me say, and I did a short not long since. Are we creating the phenomena? That doesn't mean it's not real, but are we somehow like Steve's just said? Are we bringing it forward? Ghost hunters see ghosts, UFO researchers see UFOs, cryptid hunters see cryptid type creatures. It don't mean any of them are lying or misinterpreting it, but are we? Is it shaping? Is the phenomena shaping into what we want it to be? There'd be too much for some people, but I'm not saying it is. But we've got to throw these things out. Right? Let's have a look at this. I know it sounds a tad far-fetched, but maybe whatever Michael saw was a dogman dressed in clothes and a hat. Do you know, Mike? This is Mike, the disabled Welshman. I just haven't got a clue, mate. I haven't got a clue. I mean, you can't imagine something dressing, can you? But then we don't know if anything could morph into something else or create this illusion. It seems a bit of a get out card, doesn't it? Saying it's an illusion because I haven't explained how it could be done because I haven't got a clue.
I come in for a minute?
Yeah, go on. I'm rambling, aren't I? It is about you.
No, I'd rather listen to you than listen to me waffling on. Up where I am, there's a place called Hexham, and there's a famous case of the Hexham heads,
right,
with them Celtic stones and that. And in one of the houses, after these stones were unearthed and took into the house, there was a man-shaped massive figure with a wolf-shaped head come down these stairs, and the woman said it had primitive shoes on and clothing.
Right.
So there you go.
It kind of makes you realise that there is a lot more to it. And what Mike said, like he said, it sounds a bit far-fetched. There were I spoke on what's a show called Dogman Encounters years ago, and I listened to a few of this guy's podcasts and other people he'd got on, and he had a guy on who were talking about a group of friends that had seen one of these things, and he said, this is going to discredit my entire sighting, what I'm going to say next. He says, because as it turned, I saw an earring.
Wow.
He said, I saw an earring. And then when it went through, he said there were a load of nettles and shrubbery. This is a USA sighting. He says, but when it moved away, it didn't trample down the undergrowth. It just... It were almost like a breeze, almost as though there were no physical substance to whatever it was, and they just sort of wafted forward as it disappeared into darkness.
I mean, we went down to the place where it happened, and we tried to recreate the angles, and the best we could get it, it's as though it came walking out of the dike, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It didn't look like it had come from the road, did it? Because the road sort of bears round to the right. It looked like it were a little bit lower down. As I say, we did measure it, and we were approximately 100 foot, weren't we?
Yeah, it was 101 feet.
Yeah, what? Sorry,
it was 101 feet, mate.
101 feet. There you go. Could this be a shadow person transforming to hide its form? Once again, John, I really, really don't know. And your theory or what you think could be spot on. I really don't know. And I dare say I'm going to miss some questions here, but let's have a look. We've got Stan's question here, Stan Smith. Thanks for this, Stan. Off out after live stream area. I thought you were going to say you're off out and you're just telling me that. Where a young girl was found on a cliff and a hairy arm grabbed her and dragged her to safety. A young girl hanging from a cliff. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder. So interesting story, Stan. I'd like to know a little bit more about that one. But so it's difficult, isn't it? Because the airy arm that you're talking about, Stan, I take it's just materialized and become substance, but then it's out of our existence. It's hard. I can't get my head around it. There's one from Loch Lomond with a couple sat at a seat with the back to a granite cliff. The seat's hard up to it, a wrought iron seat. And this guy and his partner claimed that a hand came out between them and touched the partner's hip, a hairy hand. People might remember this guy coming on and telling me about it. So it's fascinating. Did you said you didn't see it walking, didn't you, Michael?
Well, the coat was long, mate. The coat was like down to the ground.
But did it look like it were gliding?
It was smooth. It was really smooth. But we've talked about this as well. I mean, you talked about your mate, the gamekeeper, the way it kind of glided and the head didn't move. I mean, the way this thing was built, I would say the legs are as powerful as the arms. So it's probably got that much power. It can glide, you know what I mean? Nothing bother to it.
Fascinating. Lee says, Paranormal Visitors says, did the air change around you in any way, Michael? Did you notice any change in atmosphere or anything?
Nah, not really. It was just, to be honest, mate, it was just that quick. It probably lasted no more than 10 seconds and it was gone before you'd processed it. So we didn't have time to recognize air changes or anything like that. It was just, you know what I mean? I've probably been lucky because seen something and it hasn't really affected us too much. And it's not something, but on the other hand, we go back to Danes Dyke in the dark, you've seen something. So people that haven't seen something, it's probably more of a jolly up. Whereas if you've seen something, you think, it's not so funny. You know what I mean? That there's a serious side to this kind of thing.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, Michael, I'm just going to put this picture on again, this image, and you've sketched these. How many days afterwards?
That was the same night where we got back to the hotel and there was a bit of paper and a pen, and I just started scribbling, and that was it. And the big funny, I told you, it was the old-fashioned raincoat with the extra waterproof thing flapping on the shoulders.
Yeah.
And when it started to bend over, that just seemed to transform into big bushy hair. And when we were on the cliffs talking to that lady, I don't know if you want to bring her up.
Yeah.
I think it was Linny, your mate, was there talking, and he says, "Oh well, that was the type of coat that they would wear so many years ago." And that lady said how long it had been there and who it was and what it was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what interesting as well, because I'll need to just fill our listeners in on a lady came up with Maeve. You might remember that we had Maeve Calvert on a few weeks ago, the Dowser lady, and she came up with a friend Anna, who was a medium, and they joined us on Cliff Tops. And it was so interesting listening to Anne, because it was just like uncorking a bottle. She just come out with so much stuff that I don't know how she'd have known. And who was it that posed the question, has anybody up here ever actually seen a cryptid? And I think Maeve and Anne immediately pointed to you. Am I correct there? Hello? He's gone again.
Yeah, mate. You're breaking up, but I think I know what you're on about. Yeah, she had them two metal rods.
The dowsing rods, yeah.
Have you got us?
Yes, I've got you. Yeah.
She had them two rods, and she hadn't heard the story, and I never mentioned anything. And we were standing in a circle, and she said somebody in this group's had an encounter with something scary or something like that. And I was kind of thinking, well, she never picked me. And these two rods just swung round straight away to me, didn't they?
But that's correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
There's no way she could have known, and I think there were probably 7 of us up there, and that's the first time you'd ever been up there, and and same for Maeve.
It was, yes, mate.
Yeah. So Rick Bennett asks, Michael, did the creature act in a human or an animalistic way?
Well, it was more human. It was just as I say, it was a massive figure, just exaggerated. And I'll go back to it again, that I'm not into the wrestling, but that Undertaker, the way he used to walk along slowly, it was that, but twice the size, so it was human. But even when it started to stoop, it had a human thing to it. It was it was maybe when it got past that wall, it went into full animal mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because as you say, you'd seen it start to move off, but behind the car, it would definitely twice the height of the car. Do you think?
Well, as I say, I've measured I look after a few Fiestas for customers. I had one in one day, and I said, "Do you mind if I just measure this?" And as I say, I think I wrote it down. It's in the notes. It was about 48 inches high, the Fiesta. So it was twice the height of that. So whatever 48 inches are, it's got to be 8-9 foot on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So I'm just looking at this question's been asked, but I'll get through it because otherwise, I know this is Amanda. Do you feel any energy change, or did you smell anything? I don't think you did you?
No, there was nothing like that, mate. Honestly, absolutely nothing. As you say, there was no teeth, no bright eyes, just nothing. It was just.
So Sherry says, what was the first thought to pop into your head when you saw it? Good question, that.
But you don't want to believe it, do you? Because, you watch these programs, and I've got all your books, and they don't influence us. And I think we spoke before, texted saying, man, wouldn't it be nice to see something sometime? And you says, oh, I wouldn't want to see anything. And you think, well, maybe he's right. But even, not that you don't believe then, when you hadn't seen anything, obviously your books and all them stories, there's got to be something to it. But even when you say you're half prepared for it and you do see something, your brain's not having it.
No.
It takes you an hour or two for your brain, and maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. It just, you can't comprehend it, and you're not having it.
How long did it stay on your mind after you'd seen it? Days, weeks, hours?
Well, we walked, and Claire hadn't seen it, so it was on my mind. And she would tell you, I'm a quietest person. I do a lot of thinking and kind of quiet, and it's never left my mind. I mean, as some of your other people say, you think about these things most days. But the curious thing is, life goes on. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah. So, right, there's a question just outside of this, I suppose. Scotch Mist asks, does Michael think he has psychic gifts of any kind?
Not really. I mean, I think I'm quite good at reading people and situations and jobs I've had. You've got to prepare for every eventuality, and what is it? Prepare to fail to prepare to fail kind of thing. So I'm a deep thinker, and you think of every situation and everything. And as you get older, I think you tend to, as we talked the other day, you lose confidence a bit, and you tend to think the worst in situations. But I'm a big thinker, and I can things will play out, and I can think, I said that, and Claire will often say, God, you said that, and it's happened. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't think psychic or anything like that. I'm just, you know what I mean? What is it?
Yeah. Well, it's almost like a lot of people could read a lot into that day when I were in Danes Dyke actually interviewing the lady who'd seen something similar to what you'd seen, only she'd seen it this year. And who pulls up alongside me in a van but you? What's the chances? So Tino's asked a question. I'll not put it up, Tino, because we've already done it. Michael said there was no noise coming from it. Al Durham says, has Michael had any encounters closer to home?
Nothing like that, but I think we sat down for a cup at that time, and I was all over the shop with things that happened years ago, and nothing bad. But as I told you, I used to do a lot of walking up where I am towards Hadrian's Wall and that, and I used to do about 6 miles a night in the dark. Sometimes I'd finish work 11 o'clock at night and just go walking. It was before I met Claire, and through woods and everything towards Hadrian's Wall. Never bothered us, nothing at all. But there was this one little patch of woodland where your hair stood up, even though there was nothing there. It was down a little dip over a little bit of water, a few trees on either side, and you just had feeling something doesn't want you there. And it was just one night. There was no wind. There was absolutely nothing. It was about midnight, 2 miles away from home. I was heading back, just went through this little dip. There was not a breeze or anything. And this tree branch from the top of this tree, this massive branch just went crashing down, hit the ground, and there was a rumbling noise. And I was away, honestly, I ran all the way home. Absolutely, that was it.
It unnerved you, yeah? Well, I could imagine it would. Let's just have a look at this one. Are we okay for a few questions, Michael? Are you still okay for 5 minutes?
Mate, I'll sit here all night for you if you want.
Right, Rick Bennett, another question for Michael. Did the High Strangeness event coincide with a crossroads in your life? Basically, he's saying, were there anything traumatic or different happening in your life?
Nah, I mean, there's been a few things in the last couple of years with parents getting old and things happening, which everybody has. But nah, nothing really bad. No, I think me and Claire were there that day, and it was a pretty steady time in our life, and we're just, a day out, having a laugh and having a look around. So no, there was nothing bad really, no.
Right, okay, we've got another one here. Once again about the movement. And I apologise straight away that I can't pronounce your name there, my friend. Interesting that Michael described the movement as smooth like the gamekeeper had, and also the mountain biker's description of how the thing just seemed to move. And I can remember the mountain bikers one that were from Howard Dale, and they just thought it was as though it were on a rolling track. Yet there's all divots and sort of channels and gullies in the forest there, and this thing paced them. And obviously you only saw it for 5 to 10 seconds, and you maybe didn't get a judge of that because it's on a flat piece of road, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but going back to your excuse me, your lads in Broxer Forest, and is it Steve, the main lad that was talking?
Yeah,
He said he saw it rise up, Paul, and it was like it was a machine. But I think I can't get over the hump on the back and the muscle mass and everything. I think they're that powerful. Everything's just easy for them.
Yeah. You're right, and do you know something? That's what's interesting, listening to people describe these things. When I first heard Steve describing it, he were actually struggling to describe it because he said you couldn't fit two men inside it, and you know, and you could see his head, cogs in his head working. He's saying, and when it stood up, and he went, oh, he said, and they were just like two ping pong balls in glass water tubes filling with water. It was that smooth as it stood up, and it must have been an awesome thing to see. You know, but to see Laura's in, my daughter, Stargazer, Lisa, Dogman TP Hunting, good to see you, Deb Shaw, and let's have a look. I'm just going down here, and apologies, right. No, right. I think we've probably covered these, but we'll do this. Did you notice any static in the air?
No, not at all. No.
Right. We've got another one from Al Durham. Could the chest vibrations, and I think we're going back to Gemma's, be infrasound associated with Bigfoot sightings? I think so, Al. Absolutely. You know, I think that's a possibility. And obviously you didn't feel that, but I think he's in here actually. The come on. Security guard from the golf course. I know he is because I've seen his name. So if you want to back my words up, you can do. Because as I say, we spoke 2 weeks ago and we went to location, and I thought what an incredible analogy, Michael, where he said that when it roared and made the sound, it felt like a sonic boom going off in his chest.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's got 2 Staffordshire Bull Terriers at the time, and they didn't want out to do it, and he just went straight back to his apartment. And that's literally, if we were to measure it with a laser finder, I think we're probably only 500 yards away in that direction as well, you know, towards the golf course.
But isn't it funny how animals have obviously got the sense, and they're not having anything to do with it because they know.
I know, it's crazy. There's another question about footprints, Beer Monster. I'm not going to put that up because we've done that one. And a lot of these questions we might. Do you think it's possible these creatures are interdimensional or possibly living underground? What do you think, Michael?
Well, I give that a lot of thought, and like we talk about other things and like things under the water at the cliffs and that. Can these things go underwater? Can they crawl out and can they go anywhere? I mean, the size of this thing, and people said they've seen things hanging off cliffs and moving on the cliffs on the sheer cliff face. It's quite possible, isn't it?
It is, but I still, obviously, we're only dealing with opinion here, but I still can't get my head around the fact that these things, I don't think they could go undetected. Look how big it was, but look how bold it was. This is 11 o'clock in the morning on a normal day where there's dog walkers and everything. If that thing's had travelled from, I don't know, wherever it's been hidden to where it were going, it's got the potential to be seen by lots of people. It's almost as though there's some kind of thin area and it's just being visible for 5 to 10 seconds and then gone. Because I just can't get my head around the fact that these, I don't think that they're here. I don't think they're resident. Do I think they're real? I think they're real. We've just got to establish what real is in their world, if you like, because I don't think they're in our world, not for any length of time.
I think, sorry, the size of them, and who's to say they can't mind read or sense what you're thinking? And the size of them, when they are here, they're not bothered. They know we can't do anything, so they just go about their thing, don't they?
Yeah. And there's Karen. Thank you, Karen. That's very kind of you. Let's just have a look up here. John Mooner's in, and John keeps sending lots of pictures, John. And I do look at them, and let's have a look. Thank you. Let's just have a look here. The wide-brimmed hat is a very common thing. Pops up on loads of strange sightings, sleep paralysis as well. You're right, Jamie, it does. You know, people talk about the Hat Man, don't they? I wonder why that is. Anybody got any ideas? No, I don't. I'm expecting an answer, aren't I? And there's only me and you talking, Michael. You know what I mean? But let's have a look.
Before I'd seen this, mate, I'd never looked at like the watches or the hat people. I didn't have a clue about them. I'd never even entered my head. I was more into Bigfoot. What started me, if you want me to go into this, what started me off was I'd built my business up and worked constantly for about 6 years to the point where I was knackered. I thought I'm going to have a few days off. I was actually sitting in bed one morning with a cuppa. This was before I met Claire. And I was just looking on YouTube and the Patterson Gimlin thing popped up and I thought, oh God, remember that from years ago? And I just started watching it and that leads into other things. And that's what took me onto the Elusive program with Chris and yourself. And like, I'd watched quite a few documentaries, but there was something about you two that just normal, everyday, normal blokes like myself. And you just think, there's more to this. So I kind of got into the Bigfoot thing. And I remember seeing your thing about Dogman. It was more American. And I remember thinking, what a load of tosh. You know what I mean? And it was more into the Bigfoot thing. And it just kind of went from there. And you got on about Bempton and, you know, Danes Dyke. And I've been to Britain a few times over the years because when I go for car parts or do cars and rallies, I keep things in my big atlas book. And when I got to know you, I opened the atlas and here's things from years ago where I'd gone to Bridlington to pick tyres up or car parts. And I think, bloody hell, I've been all the way there. And obviously with all the rallying, I've been in the middle of Dalby Forest and in the middle of the night and you never give it a thought, you know what I mean, till you get switched onto it. And it's just, it kind of snowballs from there. And
it makes you wonder, Michael, if the phenomena has found you. You've been looking into it, but it's so interesting. Off the topic of cryptids, but we went to a Christmas party once years ago, and the guy was a fireman, part-time fireman, and it'll make sense in a moment. And if somebody knows you're interested in unexplained and UFOs, and anybody asks about it, I'm always cautious when you're at a place like that, you know, where there's loads of different people, probably just doing it just to have a little sly laugh about you. People in chat know what I mean. You know what I mean. So I'm sort of cautious about it. And I told him, yeah, I'm interested in subject to UFOs. I told him what I'd seen at Sledmere, this UFO. So you can get towards time. It were about 2004, 2005. And he'd never seen one. Then he messaged me. He says, I've seen one. I said, what do you mean? He says, I'm coming home from a training course in York, and I set off early in the morning so I can get back to my other job because he's part-time fireman. He says, and at Garton on the Wolds, he says, there's a sphere of light just hung over the trees like the moon. He says, stop the car, looked at it. He says, it's just there. And it weren't the moon, by the way. And that's very early morning. And this guy had watched it. And I just thought to myself then, he'd never seen one. We start talking about it. You've kind of planted a seed in somebody's head. And suddenly you switched on, you're connecting to the phenomena. I don't know if it works like that, really, sometimes.
But how many people that's not switched on see things like that and it just never registers? You know what I mean?
Never registers. Yeah, you make a good point. You really do, Michael. Let's just have a look at this question. I really think whatever it is merging into our world, possibly the gate is now open, if you know what I mean. Richard Mason says, yeah. Oh, I'm with you on that, Richard. So we've got Rick Bennett. I'm just going through a few more questions before we close this down. Typical Men in Black coat. Great account, Michael. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, no, it's no small thing to do this, Michael, because there's, you know, it's same for everybody who comes forward and contributes, because there's no Truth Proof live stream without the people that come forward and share these accounts. I can only talk about the things that happened to me for so long before it becomes boring. We know at conferences, Michael, I know you've not been to any, but there's people just made a living telling the same story for 20 years. It must be frustrating for people who buy a ticket to go to a conference and think, oh, Christ, I'm going to listen to that again. It were interesting first 10 times.
I'll be honest with you, mate. Like, sorry to interject there, but I'm out of my comfort zone here, and I'm only doing it because it's you. You know what I mean? I would never go on anything else and talk about this because it's just it's not my thing.
Well, I do appreciate it. I really do, and I'm sure people in chat do. Now stands on about the young girl that got saved when she was hanging over the cliff. Young girl remembers being carried and her face next to a pointed hairy ear. She was put down and a big dog pointed to where her friends were playing. This was in the early 1970s. Thank you, Stan. And
That's brilliant, that.
it is. And can you remember, Michael, you might have listened to, we got, I think it was Andy Hardy. He came on a few months ago and he was talking about being on Dartmoor and somebody being found. I think it was one at Squaddies. If anybody's in chat who remembers this, I'm not certain who it was, but whoever found this person said that they got saved by a big hairy creature. Anyway, so
are they here to help us? Are they here to look after us in certain ways?
I suppose it might all depend on our disposition and how we view things. I mean, you could imagine somewhere like America where it's legal to carry firearms and hunt. What would you do if somebody pointed a gun at you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Studio One Productions. Did you feel frightened at all, Michael?
Nah, because it happened that quickly, mate. It was just gone before I processed it. If it had been longer and more isolated, then, and if it was looking at us or coming more in my direction, obviously the size of it. And this brings me out another thing that I've told you. I've watched a few American things where you get these podcasters and like these young American lads and, oh, I would do this and I would do that. And one said to another lad, oh, what would you like to do? He said, I would like to see your dog, man, because he says, I'm brave enough. I would go and confront it and you think, piss off. You saw something like this, you would be nowhere near it. What a load of bollocks.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Right. Sherry says, have either of you gentlemen, says wonderful, thanks, Sherry, ever seen a UFO? Well, I have, but I don't know what it was, Sherry. Yeah, I've seen something unexplained, and all the little clips of film that you see at the beginning and the end of the podcast is what myself and team have filmed. We're not saying it's from outer space, but I mean, one of them's the SpaceX, allegedly. So yeah, have you seen a UFO, Michael?
All I've ever seen that was that time I went to the cliffs and you weren't there, and I just had half an hour before I headed home because I had a long drive, and I was just standing there looking over towards, is it Filey Brig?
Yeah.
And it was just, as I told you, there was that little light behind the clouds come on for about 5 seconds and went out.
Well, do you know, we see quite a lot like that. I'll just put this up simply because Carol were on Clifftops with us on Friday, I think it was Friday, and she told me an amazing story from years ago. So I appreciate that, Carol, and thank you. And so I will just hide that. So let's have a look. Paul Stockton. There's a lot of questions here, guys, in there. Never experienced or encountered anything, but has there been sightings in Scotland with the amount of woodlands? Yeah, there has, Paul. Yeah, lots of sightings in Scotland. And myself and Chris are also planning a trip with Chris Meek to go to Ben Macdhu because we're interested in the legend, the stories of the big grey man. So we will be up there. And one of my closest friends who passed away about 18 months since, Robbie Shankland, he were heavily into searching for Bigfoot and doing that kind of research up around Galway and all around there. Absolutely incredible. So I think we might... Oh, we haven't. Dog pan TP hunting. Let's have a look. Question for Michael. Hi, Michael. The figure of the person before the changing altered was into the beast. The man seemed more fearful to... I think he's meaning, did the man seem more fearful to you than the actual thing that it changed into?
That's a good question, because I often think about that. There was something creepy about the figure, especially when it went black, completely dark. That was probably more menacing. I mean, obviously it's a human shape, so it's not in a way, but there was something more sinister about that than when it was.
When you saw it go black, then Michael, when you saw it go, are we talking absolutely black, or were there glossy sheen to it or anything?
No, it was just jet black. Well, like you could see the odd glimmer of shiny coat type thing when it was like waving about a bit. But apart from that, everything was just the same black. Just like you say, one of these shadow people. But did you say there's been something tall and dark seen walking around at Bempton like a figure?
We've been seeing it. We've seen it. And I mean, when I say we've all, I think everybody except Jeremy has seen it. And people who've come up there to spend some time with us who've not known about it, because I'll just touch on the fact that for live stream, I'm going to start and do a little diary. I did first entry a few days ago, and I don't like the format, sat here like I'm doing, talking about what happened the night before. So if anything happens, it could be 6 months before we do another entry. But if anything happens, I'm going to kind of document it for 4 or 5 minutes after the event and then put it on here. So because we're leaving a lot of things, we're not adding. There's loads and loads of things we're not talking about because they almost seem trivial, but in the grand scheme of things, they'll build a picture up, I think. So thanks for that, TP. Let's have a look. Carol pointed. John Paul Body. Now this guy. I'll tell you what, John. When Michael comes through, maybe you should come with us. So this guy's the real deal. Evening Truth Proof. Fantastic experience from Michael. Thank you for sharing. It's very close to home for me. I understand and know what Michael encountered. And when this guy says he knows what Michael encountered, I believe this man. I've spent time with him. I've been where he saw what he claims to have seen, and it's a fantastic sighting. So that's somebody we need to get there when you come through later in year. If I can get John to come through, that would be brilliant. I've still got John's account I've loads of footage, loads of recordings that I've got to put together. I've got an incredible account, Michael, from Dartmoor, and
Wow.
And I can't say who this is because they're very, very well known. But they've encountered not a hat man, basically something that he thought it were a bear at first. But with your description of it almost melding and blending into things, that's what it did. And he's recording it on his phone and talking about it as he's trying to. Did I just see what I just saw? I go, oh my God, I haven't got the balls basically to look. Well, Christ, what did I see? And you can hear him as he's walking along this riverbank. And I've got the footage. Not the footage of a dog man. I've got the footage of something highly strange and his story, but I just can't use the man's name.
See, he's done well. He's done well there because a lot of people say on these encounters, "Oh, why didn't you film it?" Things happen that quick, and you don't believe it. You haven't got time to pull a phone out and start playing about. You know what I mean? And it's gone before you've even thought of that.
You're so right. We on the cliff tops. You know when you said you saw the spark of light, flared up for just I don't know how long, 1-2 seconds, then it had gone.
Yeah, the most.
We see things like that quite often, and we're not seeing. For anybody that's not seeing them, it's hard to describe because it's so bright, it's so big and luminous, and then it's gone. So we've now got we've got at least 6 cameras set up, recording 360 all the time, on the hope that we might be able to capture it because we're never ready when these things happen. There's a question here. I'm just putting it up out of courtesy. I know it's been answered. Did the creature Michael saw? Did the creature look at Michael? No, I don't think it did. Did it, Michael?
No, it wasn't interested, mate. It was slightly walking away at an angle, and it just wasn't bothered.
Okay, right. So I keep hoping we've done with these questions. Terrible, Anna. Let's have a look. Did the dog in the car react in any way? I.e., did it bark, whine, cower? Thank you, Keith.
No, it was one of them big huskies, and it was massive, and it filled the back of the Fiesta, and the little old woman had the lead at full stretch, and the legs were kind of like straight down, and it wasn't coming out. I didn't hear a growl. It didn't look happy. We just knew when it wasn't coming out. It was having none of it.
And I'm going to have to, let's have a look. Orange Orb, same here, Paul. Came across your channel after speaking with a friend regarding the Orange Orb I saw over Crow's Nest. Now you're off towards Osgoby there. And incredible. And as you know, then these orbs, these spheres of light are seen all the way up and down the eastern North Yorkshire coast. We want more eyes on the coast looking for these things. A great sighting. Let's have a look. Loads of questions tonight, people. And thanks once again. We've got another one from TP. Hey, Michael, the Hat Man. Did he shimmer? I think Michael might have gone, mate. Don't recall him saying it shimmered. He said, but it had an effect that a little bit translucent. And on that note, we have now Laura Botel, John Paul, Body, Evening. I bet them two went to school together. Perhaps. No, they didn't. little bit older. Okay. So if Michael comes back, I'll hang around a moment just in case he comes back because it'd be rude just to leave.
I'm
So
here,
I don't
mate.
know. Oh, you're there, are you, Michael? So we've used all the questions up, Michael,
Yeah.
and all I can say is thank you for coming on and sharing that. And I'm absolutely thrilled to bits that you have done, and I'm 100% behind you with what you've seen because there's so many people that you've not got a clue who these people are who are describing something similar, describing something frightening in and around that area. So you've just added a little bit more meat onto the bone of what we're talking about. So thank you.
No, I mean, I'd like to apologise to everybody for the crap signal. It's kind of spoiled it a bit, hasn't it? But no,
Not to worry.
and I'd be happy to come on again if you want and just chat about, you know what I mean? Just what we think it is and where it's going and what it's doing. But at the end of the day, there's no experts, as you've said. None of us know a thing about it, do we?
None of us do. Thank you, Jojo. None of us know absolutely anything about what. All we know is that there's a reality to it. And those people who've seen, just briefly on my own things, you know, I don't need to believe. I don't need to believe that things that people call aliens are here. I've seen them out. What a crazy thing for a man in his 60s to be saying if he's not seen it, if he's not got faith in what he's seen it. I didn't have no psychotic episode as a child. I saw them. You've seen this. You and a host of other people have seen this. So as I stress to loads and loads of people all of the time, Michael, just because you've not seen it does not mean it doesn't exist. You know, you don't have the sort of the law and the final word on this. If people are claiming to have seen this from all walks of life, you don't know any of these other people, Michael.
No, not at all. No.
So, you know, so they're all coming forward and saying it. So all I can say then, to the guys in the chat, thanks a lot. There's over 250 people in chat. Thank you. Thanks for being, very understanding, for listening to Michael tell his story. I do want to speak to Michael again, so we will have him back on live stream and maybe even get him on with a panel with somebody else who's seen something similar. If you'd be up for that, Michael, would you?
Any time for you, mate.
Appreciated. Well, on that note then, Michael, I'm going to say good night and thank you. Night, Lee, Alison, Gemma, everybody in chat. Martin, I can't do alt names. Denise Fox, I'm just looking. CG and Margaret Hughes. If I stop on a name, I feel like I've neglected somebody. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night, mate.
Good night.
Oh, wow.
Saw it twice, so I was like, oh my god.
That was just weird.
I always used to see a light coming up,
Yeah.
like a headlight, but there was nobody there.
Oh, it's just disappeared.